Hey, Broncos country. You think the Denver Broncos just suffered a devastating blow with Patrick Surtain-II's injury? Think again. While everyone's crying about our star cornerback being out for 4 to 6 weeks, I discovered something the national media isn't telling you, and it's going to completely change how you see this 2025 Broncos season. We're talking about a hidden win that could turn this tragedy into the best thing that could happen to our team right now. 3. Players are going to return or explode on the field in a way you can't even imagine, and I'm going to show you exactly how this is going to work. But pay attention, because the third name on this list goes against everything you heard about the Denver Broncos this week, and could be the missing piece for us to finally dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs from the AFC West. Stick with me until the end, because there's a detail involving Sean Payton and the trade deadline that's going to blow your mind. Sunday, October 26, 2025, Empower Field at Mile High was on fire. Denver Broncos 44, Dallas Cowboys 24. Bo Nix with 4 touchdowns through the air. J.K. Dobbins dominating on the ground. The defense suffocating Dak Prescott. Everything perfect, right? Wrong. With 22 seconds left in the half, Patrick Surtain II, the guy who won Defensive Player of the Year award last season, makes a tackle on George Pickens. And, man, you see on the replay, his left pectoral just twists in a weird way. Pat Surtain leaves the field holding his chest, and you get that chill down your spine that every Broncos fan knows well. That no, not again, not now feeling. Monday arrives. Jordan Schultz drops the bomb. Pectoral strain 4 to 6 weeks out. Broncos country goes into panic mode. Twitter explodes. Instagram turns into a virtual funeral. Everyone's saying our season is over, that without PS2, that's what people call him, get it? We can't stop anyone, that the Chiefs are going to run us over, that Houston's going to crush us this Sunday. But you know what nobody's realizing? The Denver Broncos just made a genius move that shows they're not only prepared for this, but might be better without Pat Surtain for a few weeks. Yes, you heard that right. And no, I didn't drink that old bourbon they sell on Larimer Square. Look at what happened. Monday, October 27th, the Broncos needed to open a spot on the active roster because Dre Greenlaw came back from a 1-game suspension. Remember that mess with referee Brad Allen at the end of the Giants game? If the organization thought Pat Surtain was going to be out for a long time, it would have been easy to put him on injured reserve, open the spot and done. But that's not what they did. Instead, they cut Sam Ehlinger again, like that vasectomy reversal Michael Scott did on The Office, doing and undoing, and kept Pat Surtain on the 53-man active roster. What does this mean? It means that George Paton, Sean Payton, and the medical staff believe Pat Surtain will be back before the 4-week minimum that going on injured reserve would require. Let's do the math here. Like fan math, Cowboys, injury happened at halftime. Texans, Week 9, November 3rd. Raiders, Thursday night, Week 10, November 14th. Bye week, Chiefs at home, Week 12, November 23rd. Commanders away, Week 13, December 1st. If Pat Surtain stays out 3 full weeks, plus the BOI week, he has 4 weeks of total recovery before the Chiefs game. And man, if there's one game we need him for, it's that one. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, that Chiefs defense that's always breathing down our necks. Yes, that's the game. Against Houston? We have Nico Collins still injured. He might come back, but he's questionable. Against the Raiders? Please, since when do we need our best cornerback to stop that pathetic Las Vegas offense? Brock Bowers is dangerous, yes, but he's a tight end, not a wide receiver. We stop him with linebacker and safety, so relax. Take a deep breath. Pat Surtain is coming back, and while he's out, we have a plan that's going to surprise everyone. Let me tell you a story. Chris Abrams-Drain was picked in the 5th round of the 2024 draft, coming from the University of Missouri. Measurements? 5'11", 178 pounds. In other words, the guy is skinny. Doesn't have the monster physique that Pat Surtain has. 6'2", 202 pounds of pure muscle. But you know what Chris has? Speed, instinct, and absurd confidence. Second half against the Cowboys with PS2 out, Chris Abrams-Drain enters the field. 8 tackles, 8. And they weren't those weak tackles you see out there. They were solid tackles, preventing yards after catch, stopping CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens from making those crazy moves they love to do. Sean Payton said after the game, "I thought he played fantastically. His mission was not to let anything go over him." And he delivered. And look, Payton doesn't praise just anyone. The guy is a neurotic perfectionist who complains even when we win by 20 points. But there's more. Chris Abrams-Draine has already saved our bacon before. Remember last season when Riley Moss got injured? It was Chris who came in and made that crucial interception against the Cleveland Browns, saving the game at the very end. And when Pat Surtain took that concussion on the first play against the Chargers, it was Chris again playing ball against Justin Herbert. Vance Joseph's system is perfect for a guy like Chris. We don't need a miraculous shutdown corner on every snap. We have scheme. We rotate coverages, switch from zone to man, use pressure with 4 players to keep the quarterback uncomfortable. And Chris? Chris is fast enough to cover a route, smart enough to read the game, and brave enough not to be afraid of anyone. Zach Allen said in the locker room, "We trust Chris 100%. The guy is an absolute stud." And when Zach Allen speaks, you listen. That man is the leader of our defensive line, and he doesn't waste words. So, first star. Chris Abrams-Draine is going to have the best moment of his career in the next few weeks. Write it down, Jahdae Barron. First round of the 2025 draft, pick number 19 coming from Texas. A cornerback who can play inside and outside, 5'11", 200 pounds, 4.42 speed in the 40 yards. The guy is a tool. But since the season started, Jahdae has been used carefully. Sean Payton doesn't throw rookies into the fire right away. He likes to develop, teach, make the guy learn the system before really unleashing him. We saw this with Bo Nix at the beginning of the season. Remember the first few weeks when everyone was doubting? And we're seeing it now with Jahdae. But with Pat Surtain out, things change. Jahdae is going to have to get into the rotation more. And man, this is the moment he's been waiting for. In recent weeks, we've seen him being used to cover tight ends, and he's done an exceptional job. But now, with PS2 out, Jahdae is going to get the chance to play outside in some packages, especially when we need speed to cover speedsters like Tank Dell, if he plays against us, or DeAndre Hopkins. Vance Joseph has already made it clear we have options. It's not just one guy replacing another, it's the entire system adapting. And Jahdae Barron is a key piece in this adaptation. I'm betting Jahdae will have at least 1 interception in the next 3 weeks. The guy is too fast, reads the game too well, and has that rookie hunger, wanting to prove to the world he deserves to be there. And with Bo Nix playing the way he's playing, with the entire defense confident, Jahdae will have the freedom to take risks, to make plays. To show up second star, Jahdae Barron is going to become a name that every NFL fan will know after these next few weeks. Mark my words, this is where things get crazy. And this is why I asked you to stick around until now. Because this information is pure gold. Adam Schefter, the most connected guy in the NFL, who has sources inside all the organizations, went on the Pat McAfee show on Monday and dropped this. I'm hearing that the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Buffalo Bills, and the Denver Broncos are gauging different tight ends and wide receivers before the trade deadline. Tight ends, wide receivers, Denver Broncos. Now connect the dots with me here. Nate Adkins, our blocking tight end who transformed the offense when he came back, got injured in the knee against the Cowboys. Lucas Krull, another tight end, went through surgery on Monday to repair a fracture in the 5th metatarsal of his left foot and will be out for another 8 weeks. The Broncos tried to get too tight. Ends on the waiver wire, free agents who were cut on Monday. Didn't get either of them. Other teams grabbed them first. What does this mean? It means George Payton has to make a trade. It's no longer optional. It's mandatory. And here come the names. Rashid Shaheed, New Orleans Saints. Chris Olave, New Orleans Saints. And T.J. Hawkinson, Minnesota Vikings. Rashid Shaheed is a pure speedster. 4 of 34 in the 40 yards, fantastic punt returner, and a deep threat who can open up the entire field for Bo Nix. The problem? He's very similar to Marvin Mims Jr., who, by the way, is in concussion protocol after that kickoff return against the Cowboys. So I don't know if it makes sense to trade for a guy who does exactly what we already have. Chris Olave? Man, this name makes me crazy. Olave is an elite route runner, can play inside or outside, has absurd hands, and has already proven he can be WR1 on any NFL team. And there's more. Sean Payton has a direct connection with the Saints organization. His best friend is Mickey Loomis, the GM there. If anyone can make a good trade for a Saints wide receiver, it's Sean Payton. Imagine Courtland Sutton outside, Chris Olave inside, and Marvin Mims as a deep threat. Bo Nix would have 3 elite targets. Our offense would go to another level. But the trade that I think makes the most sense? T.J. Hockenson. T.J. Hockenson is a tight end who can block and receive at the same elite level. Daniel Jeremiah said when he was drafted by the Detroit Lions that he was the best blocking tight end he had ever evaluated. And we saw with the Minnesota Vikings that the guy is also a monster on routes. He can run any route in the route tree, catch balls in the middle of the field, and be a reliable safety valve for the quarterback. Now imagine this. Bo Nix in shotgun, J.K. Dobbins in the backfield. Courtland Sutton split wide, T.J. Hockenson in the slot, and the offensive line all healthy. Man, this offense would be unstoppable. And Sean Payton? He loves tight ends. He's always used tight ends creatively. Jimmy Graham in New Orleans, Jared Cook, even Adam Trotman had good moments. Payton knows how to use a real tight end. And there's more. George Payton has strong connections with the Minnesota Vikings organization. He started his GM career there. So if there's anyone who can make a fair and good trade with Minnesota, it's George Payton. The third star isn't a player we already have. It's a player who's going to arrive, and when he arrives, our offense is going to go from good level to elite level. 2. First place in the AFC West. 5 straight wins. The NFL's best defense in yards allowed and sacks. Bo Nix improving every week with 12 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins being the first Broncos running back with 2 100-plus yard games in a season since Melvin Gordon in 2021. Vance Joseph making the defense work like a Swiss watch. Sean Payton finally having an offense that can score points in the second half. Man, this isn't luck. This is building. This is planning. This is what happens when you have a smart GM, a Super Bowl-winning head coach, and players who buy into the idea. And you know what's crazier? We still have room to improve. Imagine when Pat Surtain comes back. Imagine when we make that trade for a tight end or wide receiver. Imagine when Marvin Mims Jr. comes back from concussion protocol. Imagine when Riley Moss, who's playing really well outside, and Jaquan McMillian, who's dominating in the slot, get even more in sync with Chris Abrams-Draine and Jadai. Barron, this team has everything to go far in the playoffs. And no, I'm not talking about winning a wild card game and going home. I'm talking about AFC Championship game. I'm talking about Super Bowl. The national analysts are already noticing. The Athletic put us at number 8 in the power rankings. NFL.com also number 10, The Ringer number 8. And these rankings don't even reflect the real potential this team has because the national media is still sleeping on Bo Nix and underestimating our defense. But those of us who follow every game, every snap, every roster move, we know. We see Quinn Meinerz blocking like a monster on the offensive line. We see Nick Bonito getting sacks every week. We see Zach Allen and DJ Jones dominating the defensive line. We see Alex Singleton making tackles all over the field. We see the future, and the future is now. There are people saying that without Pat Surtain we can't handle Houston. Can't handle Kansas City. Nonsense. Complete nonsense. In 2024, when Pat Surtain had that concussion against the Chargers, Chris Abrams-Draine came in, and we won. When Riley Moss got injured, Chris came in again and saved the game against the Browns. This team doesn't depend on one player only. This team has depth. This team has culture. This team has Sean Payton yelling on the sideline, Vance Joseph adjusting schemes every drive, and Bo Nix leading that huddle like a 10-year veteran, and the Chiefs? The Kansas City Chiefs that everyone thinks are untouchable? They're Buffalo next week, and I guarantee they lose that game. Bills at home, Josh Allen playing at MVP level, that Bills defense pressuring Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are going to fall. And when they fall, we're going to have a 2-game advantage over them in the division. 2 games. with 7 weeks to go in the regular season, and we play them at home at Mile High, where the crowd is the 12th player, where the air is thin and visiting teams can't breathe properly. The window is open. The opportunity is here. And George Paton knows it. That's why he's gauging trades. That's why he didn't put Pat Certain on injured reserve. That's why he's making all the right moves to maximize this season. So, recapping, Pat Certain, too, goes out with a pectoral injury 4 to 6 weeks out. Everyone panics. But the Broncos organization makes moves that show they don't think it's the end of the world. Chris Abrams-Draine is going to have the best moment of his career. Jahdae Barron is finally going to explode as the first-round cornerback we know he is. And the big trade is coming, whether it's Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, or, my bet, T.J. Hockenson. But there's one thing I still haven't told you. One thing that could change everything. Remember I said George Paton has draft picks? We have all our picks through the 5th round, and we got an extra 4th-rounder from the Saints in a preseason trade. That means we have ammunition to make a big trade. Not a measly trade for a mediocre player. A big trade for an elite player, and according to sources within the league, via Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports, the Broncos are the team being most watched to see how aggressive we're going to be at the deadline. The trade deadline is November 5th, next Tuesday. In other words, we'll know in days who George Paton is going to bring in. Will it be Chris Olave, transforming our offense into a scoring machine? Will it be T.J. Hockenson, giving Bo Nix that perfect weapon in the middle of the field? Will it be someone else we're not even thinking about? I don't know. But I know something big is coming. And when it comes, Broncos Nation is going to explode. So tell me in the comments, who do you want us to go after at the deadline? Chris Olave? T.J. Hockenson? Rashid Shaheed? Or is there another name you think makes sense? And most importantly, do you believe this 2025 team can make it to the Super Bowl? Or do you think I'm crazy and tripping too hard? Comment down below. Share this with every Broncos fan you know, and subscribe to the channel, blog, wherever you're reading this. Because I'm going to bring all the deadline updates, all the news about Pat Certain, and all the analysis you need to follow this historic season. Denver Broncos 6-2, best defense in the NFL. Bo Nix growing every week. And 3 stars ready to save our season while Pat Certain recovers. It's not the end. It's just the beginning of something epic. Go Broncos.